Hello witchies, welcome back to your everyday witch with Baby Witch, our newest addition to this channel. I am happy to be back, happy to be here, especially with little baby Emily. If I'm not mistaken, I think the last time we saw each other was when I was about 8 months pregnant, and now I am 4 months postpartum, almost 5, which means this little munchkin is almost 5 months, which is unbelievable to say because I feel like just yesterday I was honestly still pregnant. So a lot has changed. Obviously, my life has taken quite the dramatic change, but in the most beautiful way I can say. Let me just start off by saying I love motherhood. I love this whole thing. But of course, I wanted to introduce you guys to our little daughter and also just kind of give you guys an update, what's going on, how birth went, postpartum, all that kind of thing. And now I'm ready to have these mother conversations with the rest of you ghouls, the rest of you witchies. If you have any advice, if you just want to talk about it, I'm here for it. So little Miss Baby Witch Emily was born on November 6th, 2023 at around 7:29 p.m. So I was in labor for about 31 hours. I got induced November 5, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason why I got induced was because they said that her little tummy was a bit bigger than her head, and so they thought it would be better to have her sooner rather than later, just so it was easier for me to push her out and all that kind of thing. But I did have her at 39 weeks, so pretty much full term. She came out after an hour and 30 of pushing. I pushed for an hour and 30 minutes, and whoo, let me tell you, that was the longest. Yes, Mama, you were there. That was the longest time of my life. So Emily was about 7 pounds, 5 ounces, just like the cutest thing ever. And it was quite the relief when I had her, just because I was extremely hungry at that point for not eating after 31 hours. But that's beside the point. Emily is just, yeah, look at you, honey, so pretty. Honestly, after about almost 5 months with this little girl, I am really in heaven. This is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I thought motherhood would be, and maybe even more so. She is she is such a good baby. I'm able to read her now, which is actually amazing. I remember people telling me, oh, you'll know what your baby's cries are. You'll know when it's hungry, when it's, needing to change a diaper, sleepy, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't believe them. I was like, there's no way. I've heard babies' cries that it all sounds the same. I cannot distinguish what each thing is. But honestly, you will be able to. You can tell with your own baby what is hungry, what is tired, and I definitely can with her. She, of course she does get cranky, and there's times where it's like I cannot get her to stop crying and that kind of thing. But I expected that. It's fine. She's a baby. She's trying her best to imagine it's not easy. But I am just so happy to bring her into this spooky world, into this spooky YouTube channel that we have created together. And I'm finally feeling like myself again, as far as like there's no more nausea. There's no more like I feel bigger than a whale or anything like that. I'm just feeling so good again. We'll just keep going as long as she is happy here. It seems like she's doing pretty content here. So I didn't think we'd make it this far into the video as it is, but we're just going to keep on going. So like I mentioned, she was born on November 6th. I mean, the whole birth story of being induced and everything, that is a story all on its own. I will try to make this long story short. Basically, I got induced. I wasn't opening up quick enough. They put a balloon in me, which was excruciating. The medicine that they were giving me to kind of, get things going was honestly really painful. The contractions were back to back. There was no break. And so they were saying that, usually we don't give epidural until like about 5 or 6 centimeters. But at 3, I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I need it. And I always knew right from the get-go that I was going to get it. But I didn't know it was going to be that soon either. So I got the balloon. That took a while. And then but because of the balloon, I was in a little bit more pain during, obviously it was opening me up a lot faster and everything. And so I was just like using my epidural. They said, we have epidural in, but you have 10 pumps to use in case it gets really bad. And towards the end, the next day, November 6th, before she was born, around maybe 4 p.m., I was like, oh yeah, it's getting bad. I'm going to need these 10 pumps. I just kept going back to back, to be honest. And they said, oh, you can't overdose. Like, don't worry about it. And just use them if you really need it. And I did. I used all 10. And when it came time to push, my epidural was wearing off. And I was like, hey, I feel everything. And they're like, well, it's better that at this point that you just push naturally, because if we give you epidural, it's going to take a lot longer, the pushing. And given the pushing was still long anyway. But that's what they told me. So for about the first hour, I felt everything. And props to all the women back then that still do it today, that do it natural, because it is not a walk in the park. Holy crap. And people are not exaggerating when they're like, it's one of the worst pains you'll feel. Like, it is very painful. I did it for about an hour. Towards the end of my hour, I was about giving up. I had nothing else left in me to keep pushing. Obviously, you kind of have no choice, right? Your body is just telling you to keep doing it, but you're doing it with such little energy is the problem, and the pushes are not strong enough at that point that I'm doing. So one of the nurses, thankfully so, took the executive decision to give me a little bit more of the epidural, and that gave me the strength I needed to push further. And then the next half hour, Emily came out. After that, all conundrum there, we went to post-labor. I was there for about 3 or 4 days, just because while I was in labor and pushing, I did get a fever, and they were concerned that I would get a fever again, basically, after she was born, and I didn't, but that's why I was in the hospital a bit longer. I think the post-labor room that we were in was probably the worst part for me, because I felt very claustrophobic and just very, like, in these tight quarters. Obviously, you're not getting sleep because everyone keeps coming in to see your vitals, see how you're doing, and all that kind of stuff, and you're just uncomfortable because now your body is in like a major just aches and pains from birth and everything. So I think that was the worst part, honestly. Then finally we got home, and then things were just so much better. So all that to say is, if I haven't said it enough, I love being a mom. I'm a first-time mom. So there's a lot of things that I have already discovered that I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do it this way. I want to do it that way. Trial and error, basically. Some things that come to mind that I kind of guess want to touch on is just how you're supposed to heal, right? Everyone's like, well, you get 6 weeks, then you gotta go to the doctor, then you're given the okay for basically exercise, sex, all that kind of thing. And honestly, 6 weeks, that's cute, because it did not take me 6 weeks to feel normal again. I mean, honestly, it took me about 3 months. So about 2.5 months to 3 months to feel like, okay, yeah, exercising feels good again and all that kind of thing. Honestly, for me, because I exercised so much before I got pregnant, I was dying to get back into some sort of cardio, to some sort of weights and everything. And I started with cardio. So I started going back to exercise about 2 weeks postpartum, and that just what's worked for me. I didn't do anything heavy. I didn't do anything strenuous. I just walked on my treadmill, basically. I just walked casually. I just wanted to get the blood moving, because to be sitting and resting, I mean, even though I was tired, obviously, from healing and from taking care of a newborn, I couldn't. I couldn't keep not exercising, being still. I just really needed to move. And honestly, I gained quite a bit of weight during pregnancy. And so I guess I was kind of desperate also to kind of start getting rid of that. Although I didn't start picking up weights until maybe, like I said, to 2 months to 2.5 month point, where I just, yeah, you were there. So, where I felt like, okay, it doesn't hurt anymore to really pick these things up. I remember trying to do crunches was very painful, just because, you kind of strain and you kind of hold and tight, your abdominal area. And I just remember that feeling very painful. And it took till those 2 months to really start feeling better. So something that I had no idea was a thing, postpartum. And oh, what? Okay, Dad, she's good.
Here, baby, come here.
Good job. Bye, Mimi. Okay, we had to take a quick pause because Emily felt it was time for her nap, and she has made her presence known, and that's enough. So we'll let her take her nap, and we will continue on without her. That's a baby. So as I was saying, something I did not realize was like a thing postpartum that no one spoke to me about. I almost like didn't even read it, and any of the things that I was reading, you know, to prepare myself for pregnancy and all that kind of thing was carpal tunnel. I mean, I found out the hard way because my wrists were in excruciating pain about a month after postpartum. I felt like my hands, my wrists were just falling asleep all the time. And if they weren't falling asleep, they were in pain to do any kind of like bending movements or anything like that. So I was looking it up, like carpal tunnel postpartum, and apparently it's a thing, and it's actually quite common. Considering how quite common it's supposed to be, I'm surprised no one talks about it. I mean, rightfully so, people talk about, you know, postpartum depression, all that kind of stuff, but also carpal tunnel is like an actual real thing, and it was just, honestly, it was very difficult. Obviously I had a newborn to take care of. I had to be carrying her a lot, supporting her head, holding the bottle. And, you know, given you do a lot of like weird like angles and movements when, you know, you're trying to care for a baby. You know, you don't want to move in case you're going to wake up the baby. So now you're kind of sitting or whatever in an awkward position that's probably not the most comfortable. We're all doing that basically, I'm sure. I got a few massages, and that did seem to help as far as my arms and hands falling asleep. But the pain on my right hand, and given I am a dominant right-handed person, that was not going away. So I went to my primary doctor. She's like, oh yeah, for sure, this is something, you know, just basically postpartum. Basically, one of your tendons has stayed swollen after being pregnant, basically, and it never went back down to its normal size. So that's what you're dealing with. She basically recommended that I get a steroid shot just to basically try to deflame it and all that kind of stuff. And so I did. The shot, again, was painful, but it's good now. I'm all good. My wrist is back, given I don't even have very big wrists to begin with. So I was like, what's going to happen now? Because I just felt very frustrated that I couldn't attend to my baby as much and as well as I could. Given I still think, I was kind of being hard on myself. I think I did a pretty good job, given, the challenges. But I just would have liked it to have been maybe a smoother, easier time. So that was something I never anticipated. I had to order on Amazon, like basically some carpal tunnel wraps to help out the pain, and that kind of did, but really it was that steroid shot that did it, and I'm fine now. Arms and hands are good, no more falling asleep, no more pain. Another thing that I thought was really interesting, and again, this is all my own experience, and I'm doing things how it fits for me and my daughter. Of course, everyone is entitled to do it their own way, however you find fit, and however it makes you feel comfortable. That being said, one of the things that I realized I didn't really need right away was a crib. Now, for some, this is going to be essential. You want the crib or a bassinet. You want the baby to be in there the moment they come home, and, they're safe in their crib and all that kind of thing. And that's completely what I thought I was going to do. What I felt was best and what I felt comfortable with was co-sleeping with my baby, which we still do to this day. So I've been co-sleeping with Emily since she was about maybe 1.5 months. I tried the whole getting up, breastfeeding her and then putting her back down and then feeling like I needed to pump still. I did all this kind of stuff, and it just felt like I was not getting good sleep. And it was basically very disturbed sleep for me, because then it would take me a long time to get back to sleep. She would wake up again anyway, right when I was really falling asleep, there she is, she's hungry again. And so I was feeling like, honestly, this is just not working out. And it's one thing that any parent can expect, when bringing in a new child, is that newborn stage, that 2 to 3 hour feeding throughout the nights. I was just not doing so well with it. I kind of felt like it was affecting just my mood, obviously, from not sleeping too well. And so what did help me greatly was the co-sleeping. So I do sleep with Emily. She sleeps right next to me in the bed. And when she wakes up in the middle of the night, which she still kind of is, I just breastfeed her laying down, and then we both end up falling asleep once things are done, but we're already laying down. I feel like it's a lot less disruptive to the baby, to mom, to dad, and it just really works for me, basically. So actually, I think looking back, I probably didn't need the crib as much as I thought I did, obviously, but it really did bring the aesthetic to the bedroom. The crib is right here, so it really brought the aesthetic, like, oh, a baby's coming, and all that kind of thing. But was it really necessary to get right out the gate for myself? It was not. I am aware that there's a lot of discouragement against co-sleeping due to SIDS, due to, you don't want to roll over on them or anything like that. That just has never really been a problem to me. When I sleep with her, I'm still, I don't move. It's like I'm almost like subconsciously aware, of course, that she's there. Dad doesn't move. Like, she's just been fine. Apart from that, I sleep emotionally better. I feel a lot better that my little baby is sleeping right next to me versus in a crib where she's still kind of in arm's reach, but still kind of not. I just feel better having her snuggled up against me. I feel like I'm really protecting her. I'm really there in case she needs anything. And yeah, that's basically 4.5 months postpartum life. Witchies, I am so glad to be back. I feel really well. I think I feel alive again. I'm ready to do photos. I'm ready to do more videos with you guys. Hopefully you will welcome Emily into some of these videos as well. I imagine she'll still be making appearances every now and again. The next part of this for me, as far as life is concerned, is just still trying to get used to the new schedule. I'm pretty much used to the schedule, and Emily has a schedule now that she kind of formed, and I just kind of follow it now. But, there's a lot of things I'm like, I don't get things done around the house like I used to. I don't, I can't clean everything at once. I can't do the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, and then the bathroom. And then have everything is, you have to let that go. I've realized as a parent, you have to let that go, that you can do everything at once. You will stress yourself out, beating yourself up that you're not getting it all done and thinking, maybe I need to use my time better. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I do think that really you got to enjoy the childhood with your baby, because that's not going to be there forever. The mess in the kitchen will always happen. So as far as myself, I'm still going to the gym. I'm a stay-at-home mom now for the most part. I won't be going back to work like I was before, but maybe that also means more YouTube videos, more time to spend with all you witchies that I've missed so much. And yeah, just life is good so far. Alright, witchies, thank you so much for watching this video, for talking with me. I really appreciate it. This was Emily's little witch hat that she wore for the thumbnail, and she was like, no more. Alright, witchies, thank you so much for chatting with me here. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting the new member of the family. I definitely enjoyed spending time with you. I really appreciate you guys watching the video as always. I'm hoping to be a lot more productive on Instagram and of course here on YouTube. We'll be discussing things baby, things Halloween, things witchy, all the spooky things. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that we may be in contact with all the spooky things all year round. Of course, I think Halloween's going to be showing up in the stores before you know it. We're like in March, almost April now, and June we start to see things. So let me know down in the comments below if you have any good tips for being a parent, being a mother, or anything like that. I'm always welcoming any new information that could just make everything easier. Absolutely. Alright, witchies, I'll see you guys next time, and take care. Bye!